Hey everyone. So remember, all of my content this week is all about finding ideas, particularly for bootstrapping startups. Although this could certainly apply if you're considering funding as well. But one great way to find startup ideas, if you have none, is of course to leverage social media. Now, if you have an audience, obviously you can just ask for ideas from your audience, right? And of course, I am not an idiot. I know that that's easy to say, and most people do not have an audience. But that is an option if you do have one, right? And one thing I will say is that building an audience is not necessary to bootstrap a startup. You can have other customer acquisition channels, certainly, but it never hurts. That's for sure. And it's a good thing to invest in long term is building an audience. And if I were to start over again today, I would do that from the get-go, to be honest. Knowing what I know now, I would probably just make a video a day describing and showing my work and trying to bootstrap a startup, and someone will find it compelling, no matter how boring you may think you are. And trust me, I'm pretty boring, but no matter how boring you think you are, that's gonna help someone. And that authenticity is very, very powerful, right? And you can see that all across YouTube today with the people that are popular. People like Sam Sulek and a few other people that I don't remember their names right now, but they create very authentic content that's barely edited. You can just throw it up and someone's going to find it compelling and find it useful. And you'll get better over time, of course. Relatedly, one thing I recommend if you are trying to build an audience, definitely use your real name and face. Do not hide behind some fake photo or some ridiculous name. Just use your real name and face, because that's so much more compelling, and it's honestly a huge advantage. So that's one way. If you have an audience, ask them for ideas, right? Now, the other way that's great is searching social media for keywords, okay? And obviously, I have a lot of experience with this. Notifier is a social media kind of keyword monitoring tool. But I see startup ideas all the time on, platforms like Twitter or X or whatever it's called this month. But it can work on any social media platform. But as you can see, this is my Twitter account here. And I have used their search to find, to look for startup idea. And as you can see already, we've got one here, which is actually kind of interesting, business idea validation as a service. Here's another guy that's talking about something. That's my tweet, actually. Startup idea. And sometimes you'll find funny ones in here, not having a therapist. So this is a great way to do it. And you'll be surprised at how many interesting kind of startup ideas you can uncover. Now, as always, my advice, especially if you're bootstrapping, is to start with something as simple as you can, that you believe that people will pay for. And then, of course, validate it beforehand by actually trying to sell it before you build it if you can. Now, if you can't, or you don't believe me that it's possible, then certainly building something is better than building nothing, right? So I always preface that with that, hey, it's always better to build something. Ideally, validate it beforehand, or you may be wasting your time, right? So that is it. A pretty simple idea, but very, very powerful. Now, another thing I've got here is a bonus. You can ask ChatGPT what keywords to search for. It's great for this kind of thing, like thinking of keywords that you hadn't thought of in a way. I've used it for Notifier actually to do that. And I created a video about using Notifier, using it to actually create search strings, we call them, for Notifier. But I asked it originally, as you can see, hey, what are some keywords I can search for on social media to find startup ideas? And it came up with a bunch of hashtags. Now, hashtags are interesting. They're rarely used as much these days. And there are some specific ones, right, that people use, like indie devs, pound indie devs, or pound build in public is one that people use. But in general, they're not needed anymore. I believe originally it was needed because the Twitter search and the algorithm wasn't as good and wasn't using keywords. But for whatever reason, they're not used as much anymore. And when you use it, it actually weirdly starts to look like you're using ChatGPT to create your content. Because if you've ever tried to get it to create a tweet for you, it loves to include hashtags. So I don't know how valuable that is to search for specific hashtags. It came up with these, 15 ones. You can obviously, ask the same question and see if any of this works. But what you can do, of course, is ask it literally, hey, what keywords? So I told it no hashtags, just keywords. And it came up with some interesting ideas here. I don't know how often people are talking about customer pain. I mean, let's just find out, right? So let's choose kind of the most ridiculous. No, let's choose this one, future of work. That is such a buzzword, huh? Future of work. Let's see if this comes up with any interesting startup ideas. You can put it in quotes, of course, to search for the exact phrase. I'm not sure. I should know, actually, because I think we use the same, for Notifier, we use the same full text matching engine. So you think I would know. I think it is not by default case sensitive when you include the quotes. I'll have to look that up sometime. Will have a substantial impact on the future of work. Anyway, yeah, I don't think that one specifically is great, but this is a good way to use ChatGPT to come up with some keywords of ideas to search for. That being said, I would probably just use startup idea, like I said, because a lot of people will do a tweet in that format that says startup idea, and then they provide the additional information. Yeah, that is pretty much it for this one. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this, and thank you very much.